right there. Can you talk about the score a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, I wrote the score with a co-composer named Dan Romer, who's normally like a pop producer, and you know, it was like it was really the thing to kind of unlock the movie. Like the film really didn't work before that, and what we sort of discovered as we were doing the score is that we couldn't score the film. You couldn't sort of look at a scene and say this is a sad scene and make it sad music, or a tense scene and make tense music. That we had to figure out what Hush Puppy was actually thinking about in any given moment and score that. So, you know, I think a lot about, you know, when you're 6 and you're walking down the street and nothing's happening, but you've got like the Batman theme song playing in your head the whole time. And so we tried to create this sort of theme that felt like a big patriotic national anthem, sort of all lang syne, you know, this something like a song that everybody in that town would know and be able to sing. And so, you know, even though it's just her running around with sparklers, she considers that this moment of incredible cultural importance, and this is her place and this is her world. And so we needed a song that kind of made you feel, you know, home in a way. And so that became sort of what was broadcasting out of her head. And once we got that, the whole thing started to work. You really, when the bathtub starts to disappear, you feel that, you kind of miss that tune and that sensation. And so that's how, I mean, that part of how the score developed.
Right there.
What's the significance of the four beasts, the 4 girls, the 4 guys? What is your interpretation of that?
I can't give one on that one. I don't know. Sometimes you do things that you watch it, like I watch it now and I'm glad that happened, you know, but there wasn't some, you know, 4 planets in the solar system. There wasn't some sort of magical thing about it, but I am really happy that, I mean, the beasts and the girls really were supposed to be a parallel, you know, and almost part of one another, and almost the same characters in a lot of ways. And so, you know, I think what happened is the 5th Auroch just sank in the bayou, and we couldn't get it up there, but I'm glad it did.
Right here.
Why did you choose to tell this sort of like fable about resilience after trauma through the eyes of a child?
It was like the simplicity of that point of view in a lot of ways, you know, because I mean, a lot of the film, the origins of sort of why I started wanting to write this film was, you know, I'm not from here, I'm a New Yorker, and I was moving down. Well, I got here in 2006, but it was only dawning on me in around 2008 that I was going to stay, and I went back home, and I was telling people that I was coming down. It was this whole sort of rhetoric of like, why would you do this? Why would you move down there? You know, is New Orleans going to exist in 5 years? You know, everybody was scared for me, and I thought that was such a ridiculous point of view. And to me, it was unlocking the thing of like people saying, you know, you should leave your home, you know, and forget about it and go somewhere else. Is like I thought about what it'd be like to tell a 6-year-old, you should leave your parent. He's too dangerous. You know, and no 6-year-old would ever, even for a second, question that was something that they should do. So it was that sort of, that there's this kind of biological connection, and there's this sort of, you know, there's something in the blood that makes that question so absurd. And so it was the simplicity of her, the way she was going to see that, you know, where you get cluttered when you get older and you start thinking about politics and about all this other stuff. But for her, it's just about emotion, and it's about, you know, holding on to the things that she cares about. And so I felt like that was a way to tell the feeling of the film in a way that was going to be universally accessible in a way that made it easy for me to explain it. So that was sort of, we actually originally wrote that character at 11, and it took about 6 months of auditions for us to realize that was too old, and we had to bring it down to 6 years old. So it was a process actually figuring out at what age that sort of logic is still intact.
All right, 2 more quick questions. One here.
The similarities between this and Glory at Sea, and when did you make Glory at Sea? Had you already started the script for this because of those similarities? And it's also really, really neat for me to see. It's so brilliant, but it's also the use of Elysian Fields for both of those works. And so even, I was born and raised here, and even so few of my friends knew I remember I learned it in Latin class in high school where the meaning of that and the significance and the beauty of that. I just, thank you, it's just so brilliant.
Thank you. I guess I'll talk. I mean, I didn't have this in mind. It was really that moment after Glory where, because I was planning to make Glory at Sea. I got here in I think June of 2006, and I was told my parents I'd be home for Thanksgiving, and so then that ended up taking a year and a half, and it was at the end of that so I sort of realized that we had sort of created a way of making films that was so rooted in working down here and the people who were part of it, the family that kind of grew up around it. You know, a lot of, Levy was in Glory at Sea, Jimmy Lee was in Glory at Sea, Henry Coleman, like the cast is really continuous, and it was sort of inspired by that cast in a lot of ways to move from making a film about specifically the aftermath and to make a film about what the future is, like what is it going to be like to stay, you know what I mean? And so that's where that emerged from. And Elysian Fields just, I don't know, I'm just obsessed with this kind of, the idea that there is another side somewhere, and Elysian Fields has resonates with that. And so both in this film when they go to Elysian Fields and Glory when they go to the bottom of the ocean, it's this sort of in-between place between life and death that I feel like resonates for me here and just something that I can't stop thinking about. So it just ends. When we originally called that boat Elysian Fields as like a placeholder. We're like, we gotta change it because we used it in Glory, and then there just isn't another word for that, so it just stayed.
Okay, finally.
Gary Fukunaga actually worked with you in Glory at Sea, and then he went on to write and direct Sin Nombre.
Yeah.
Also filmed in a very interesting corner of the world with also non-professional actors.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went on to direct Judi Dench and Michael Fassbender and Jane Eyre.
Yeah.
So my question is, has his work influenced your work in Beasts in any shape or form? And do you see yourself directing someone else's script and working with established actors?
I don't think so. I mean, I love his movies, but it wasn't like a reference or anything. I mean, working with Cary was really amazing when he was down here. But I mean, certainly his stories are inspiring. We talk a lot about, he rode the trains down there and, riding through Mexico, so sort of living the movie was something that we both believed in, which is why we sort of ended up working together. And so that sort of, I certainly think that we're kind of come from the same sort of school of thought that you have to go and do things in order to be able to talk about them. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm really planning on staying put and continuing this method of filmmaking and working with, I mean, people talk about it being non-actors, but everyone is an actor now. We've all learned how to act together, we know how to work with each other, and I love the family that we have down here. And so it's, the world definitely tries to pluck you out and surround you with their own system and their own family, but we're really trying to use the success of the film just to kind of build a force field and keep it the same, so that's the plan. So we'll be around forever.
One last thing, if you would leave at this exit, it will facilitate things tremendously for the people waiting to get in for the next speech. So, thank you.